Hello and welcome to Getter Farms. We're back with another episode of the Westby Wisconsin Revised map, and it is now midsummer. We've advanced the clock a couple of days since we finished planting, my goodness. And we now have several of our crops, all of our fields I think have sprouted up here into the first growth stage. And so if we run over here real quick, we can see that our corn is up now and our soybeans are up. And so we're now ready to do some spraying. As we've kind of talked about in the previous episodes, we don't have a lot of money left. We're down to $8,000 out of our starting 20K. And so we do have a sprayer. I just don't think we're going to end up doing any herbicide. I think we're going to be focusing on just getting some more fertilizer onto the fields. And I don't have a tractor with row crop tire, or not row crop, but spraying tires on it. And so I think we're really only going to be able to spray in this initial state right now anyway. And so we're going to use the 4240 to spray. And I've got our pallets are here in this shed. I needed to get them out of the middle of the driveway. And so I think what we're going to do is grab these pallets and just move them out of the shed here. And then we'll just hook the sprayer up and drive it over here. So we don't have a lot left in these pallets from when we were doing our planting, and so I don't know that it's going to get us very far, but I figure we might as well use these up first and then go buy some additional pallets and just see how far we get. My forks on this thing have been sticking to the ground, so it's always entertaining trying to use forks and pallets in Farming Simulator. So we're just gonna kind of not do a whole lot of that. Normally I might have driven those over to where I've got the sprayer set up right now, but we're just gonna leave them there for now. And I think I'm just going to leave these arms right here in this shed. Got manual attach on, so I've actually got to get out to take the arms off. And we've got our leftover seed here on the other side of the shed, so this felt like the best place probably to store that stuff out of the way. Not really using the side parts on the sheds there too much. And so the other thing that I've done off camera, outside of the game, is went ahead and added sprayer section control to this sprayer. And I'm just now realizing I don't know that I installed the sprayer section control mod on my game. So we're about to find out if I did or didn't. Oh, I did. Look at that. Super exciting. So we've got, I don't even know how big this sprayer is now off the top of my head, but we've got sections on it. So let me just turn the UI for that off. We don't need it staring us in the face while we're getting everything set up here. We're gonna go ahead and grab this chemical though. And this should be a nice little sprayer for the size of a farm that we have. So I didn't even get this thing half full. So I think we're gonna go ahead and just buy one more of these and fill the sprayer up while we're here up in the yard, because I can't imagine that we're going to get away with less than a full sprayer for all of our fields. So we're just going to go ahead and get started with this. We're at a little over $5,000 now, so I think I could afford one more spray. I'm trying to remember, how much did that just cost me? Yeah, $3,000, so I can afford at most one more pallet or tank or whatever we want to call it of spray. Looks like I've got a little bit left in there, so that's good news. And I think what we're gonna do is, come down here and target our bean field first. And so we're going to go ahead and get this thing unfolded. Now, I shouldn't destroy the crops, even though I don't have narrow tires on this tractor, because the way seasons works, at least with the first stage here, I don't think I'm going to destroy any crops. We're about to find out. I can never remember. So I'm going to turn the sprayer on, and it looks like it's working appropriately with sprayer section control. My driving, however, not necessarily working great. And so I'm just going to see that section turned off when I put it into the grass completely. And so this is going to work out pretty well for us. I'm going to get better at driving at some point here, right? Yes, there we go. And we're just going to follow the outside of the field here and get this all sprayed up real quick, going a nice 9 miles an hour. I should have probably upped the speed slightly on this. Thankfully there's no collision on my arm there, or I would have taken out the fence. And so I wish I could get just a little bit over. There we go. Perfect. So this is working good. I think the only other change I would make to this mod is maybe upping the speed a little bit. 9 seems a little bit slower than I'd probably be spraying. I want to say I'd probably bump this up to maybe 12. Wow, it's pulling that hard up the hill here. That's interesting. I wonder if that's just the weight of the liquid fertilizer increasing the mass of this thing, or if the horsepower requirements of the sprayer are set up pretty high. I really didn't expect to slow down that much going up the hill, but interesting nonetheless. Also interesting that the grass has kind of rows to it. That's fascinating, because I know I repainted all of this grass with the terrain tool, so I just didn't expect the grass to kind of show up as having rows. Interesting. Always noticing little things when you're driving along here. So I'm super excited to be moving along in this series. I think we spent way too much time on tillage initially, just because the nature of starting out a new season's playthrough. Next time around, we're going to have a little bit more variety, because hopefully we're going to have enough money at the end of the season to put some lime down as well, and that's going to give us another job to kind of break up the monotony of just doing tillage forever. Oops, I'm getting a little bit on the corn there. That's okay. Hopefully we're going to have enough to do the corn. It looks like we're at 86%, and I've already made it all the way around the field once. So we're just going to take these long rows now and kind of follow along. Now this is the part that is going to start getting a little bit awkward with the way FarmSim draws crop rows. I really wish that multi-terrain angle affected more than just the tillage direction, and that it was also able to affect the crop growth direction. That would be really cool, so that when you're driving along, the crops are actually planted in the direction that the field was planted or tilled in. But alas, that is not the case, and so it's going to look like I'm driving over the rows here quite a bit, because everything is going to be fairly squared off here in FarmSim to be perfectly east-west, north-south, and diagonal for rows, right? So it's the small things that we just have to kind of blur our vision a little bit, and imagine, if you would, we're not jumping across the rows. I mean, I guess I could just do the east-west bit. At least in this field it wouldn't be too bad, but some of these other fields I'm going to have a pretty significant contour to follow, so I'm not sure. And then we also got a little spot there where the planter or the crops didn't grow, which is cool. I like that about seasons, that you end up with small spots where the crops don't necessarily germinate, especially in the soybeans here. I think I was planting all of my soybeans early, so the ground temperature was still just a little bit cold. So the fact that I've got a couple of small spots like that, not unexpected. I like that it adds that little bit of realism where you're going to have some spots in the field that aren't going to yield as well for different reasons. I mean, I think seasons, it's a little bit more just random chance, but it's still cool nonetheless. Not that in real life it isn't a bit of random chance as well. Kind of reliant on the elements and the quality of your seed and a lot of other factors for whether or not your crops germinate 100% of the time. But generally, I'm liking how this field looks, and we've just got done. We hit all of this field, so if I actually fold this up, that's going to let us squeeze in here and stay on the grass so we're not driving over any more of our crops than we need to. And we're going to come up here. I think we're going to cut all the way over and do our other patch of soybeans first. And so we're going to grab a little bit more of this fertilizer on the way over there. Just, I'm curious how much more is in this tank. And I also just want to get it out of our driveway. And so I got to pull up here a little bit more. Fill this up. Oh, it's still going. So there must be more in there than I expected. That's good though. That means we might actually get all of our fertilizer down here before the before we run out. We might actually have enough to do another round. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to drive on the crops for another round, but we're definitely going to give it a shot when the time comes. I think we'll unfold and start up here on the top side of the hill, and then circle around and do the trees on the way back. Or not the trees, but the bottom fence line. Let's get this straightened out just a little bit. Squishing all of our soybeans here. Oh, if only I could drive. I should have just drove on and left the little tiny corner bit here. Alright, we'll get the sprayer going. And away we go. So yeah, I'm trying to remember where I found this sprayer now that I'm thinking about it. I think this was on the Old School Farming Facebook group, because that's always going to be the number one question I get when I show off a new mod that I haven't been using. And so I think there's two versions of this sprayer on that group. This is one that was released by a member and is, I want to say, 18 meters wide, because everything is meters in Farm Sim. And then there's one that's a little bit smaller, maybe 12 meters wide, that also has a smaller spray tank and only, I think, single wheels instead of the double wheels. And so, yeah, if you're looking for this sprayer, head on over to the Old School Farming Facebook group, and if you search through all the comments there, that's where you're going to find this sprayer. And if you search through the announcements tab, there's a post with all of the official releases on that group by the moderator or admin, and that's where you'll find the single-wheeled, smaller version of this sprayer. Now, I'm a lazy farmer here, so every time I go for a mod, even older school mods, I'm trying to get the widest implement I think I can semi-realistically get away with, because it's going to take a while to go over all of these fields a couple of times. And in fact, we might even decide to do some herbicide with our last bit of money, depending on how far this fertilizer gets us. I'm trying to think what way is going to be the most economic. I don't know. So let me turn the sprayer off, because we seem to be spraying a few random spots here that don't need to be sprayed. Don't need to be wasting all of our money. And then we'll get going here, see if I can take out a few more fence posts. Alright, there we go. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm really trying to decide what to do with that last $5,000 that we've got. It's either going to be spraying some herbicide to cut down on some of these weeds, or spraying another round of fertilizer on everything here to maximize our yield. I'm just not sure. I guess the positive part of doing herbicide would be that I could technically spray that on right after this. I wouldn't have to wait to advance time to the next growth stage. It's going to be kind of hard to see where I go, but I guess I've got the sprayer suction control mod, so it's going to know to turn the booms off if I start to overlap my herbicide. And I could always use GPS, I guess, and just try to do it a little bit more straight rather than following the contour. I'm not really sure. I don't think we're going to get to that this episode, so I guess I'll open that up to the comments. If you guys would like to see me put on more fertilizer, or do you think that the herbicide is going to be the better option? Really, the goal here is to maximize my yield. And so in seasons, there's 3 fertilizer states, and if I'm not mistaken, here, let me get lined up here so I don't go crashing into the fence when I bring up my map. We're currently putting on the second stage of fertilizer. Sorry, I'm jumping out to check this. So this is second stage fertilizer. Third stage would be a darker color. So I can put on a third stage of fertilizer and improve my yield, or I can get some herbicide and get rid of these weeds. Now, the other interesting thing with seasons is that the weeds come in these little spots. So you can see I've got a big spot of weeds right there. I've got a little spot of weeds right here in front of me, and they kind of come in these splotches throughout the field. And so I think it only hurts my yield in the spot where there's actually weeds. So I guess the question will be how many more weeds are we going to get over the rest of the season, and will that hurt my yield more than not putting on that final stage of fertilizer? I haven't actually done a lot of testing with that, especially in seasons. I know when I'm playing on FSN, if I have to miss one of the 2 things, I always skip the herbicide because the weeds were not that bad in the geo that we were playing in. But I guess I've never really done good solid testing to know which one is better. And I know it's different in seasons than it is in the base game as well, so I don't know. Because in the base game, there's only 2 fertilizer states, if I'm not mistaken. So lots of things to think about, but we do have a little bit to think about that, at least another day. I'm hoping that the Minnesota Millennial Farmer map comes back out this week as well, because we'll be picking that series back up in parallel to this one. And then I'm also almost done gathering all of the mods for a playthrough on the Clark Farms map, which I did a preview of a couple of days ago. And I'm really excited about that for a couple of reasons. One, I love playing on recreations of real-life farms, which this is actually a recreation of an area near Westby, Wisconsin. And I know a number of you have commented on living in or near the area, which is super exciting. And then also, the other reason I'm excited about the Clark Farms playthrough is actually because, I've had a couple of exchanges with the actual Clark Farms via YouTube, and he's suggested that we should try out a multiplayer session on that map once it is released. So that would be super exciting to actually get to play with the farmer who's running an actual farm and get to interact with him live. So I'm definitely going to be reaching out to him to see if we can make that happen. And I guess the third reason that I'm kind of excited for that playthrough is that this will be a good opportunity for me to try out some equipment that's not typical for me. We're actually going to try to run the equipment that he runs on his own farm, and most of that equipment is very much red, not green. And so while I am definitely a John Deere fan, I can have an open mind, and we're going to try out some really cool, older case equipment and have a lot of fun with that, I think. So, working on putting together those mods right now, and just coming up to speed a little bit on his farm. I've got a few videos to go back and watch. I want to go back and, watch a number of his videos just so I can get a feel for how he runs his farm, because it's always fun for me to, bring a little bit of real world experience into my Let's Plays. And, much like this, I'm learning a lot about farming in hilly terrain in Wisconsin, and I recognize I'm definitely not doing everything right at the moment, but I'm learning a lot, and I love interacting with the community and hearing from the community on how areas like these are actually farmed. In Minnesota, I had a little bit of an advantage since I actually farmed in Minnesota for a number of years, so I could pull on my own personal experience. But this will be fun. This map has been fun for learning, and I'm sure I'll learn a lot from Clark Farms as I get started farming on his map. So I'm absolutely hoping that he calls me out when I'm doing something that doesn't make sense for his farm. So that's going to be a really exciting opportunity. But back to this particular map for a moment. We are making some really good progress on our spraying here. We got a few more big spots that didn't grow here on the this field, which is really interesting for me to see a couple of these bigger pieces that, it's obviously planted based on the ground texture. It just didn't germinate. And I think there's probably a way to see where germination failed on the overworld map here. If I can get turned around for a second, we can go check that out. But yeah, it's cool to see. For the most part, this field is doing pretty good, but we got a couple of pretty big spots that just didn't come through. So if I come in here, yeah, you can see this blue areas is where the plants didn't germinate. And then there's another spot where it looks like I just didn't plant it. So probably the spot where you can see the leftover soybean residue there, I probably just didn't properly plant that spot somehow. And then the other area there, it just didn't germinate. So, and that's the other thing that I've realized that I probably messed up a bit, was I didn't think about crop rotation when we put this field in. I don't recall which field had which crop, and since we combined some of the strips, we wouldn't have been able to get a perfect rotation anyway. But that is something we need to be paying attention to, especially with seasons turned on. So we might not have our full normal yields for this first season. So that's gonna, definitely hurt our profits in the end of the year here. But I'm still hoping that we make enough money that we're actually making a profit here. So it would be a shame if we did all this work and we're losing money. So I'm really curious to see how this goes. I'm zooming out here. I'm trying to figure out where I still need to spray. It looks like I got a lot of these areas. My sprayer is still on. And so I'm just trying to zoom out here and see where we're going to pick up a non-sprayed section. Did I spray everything back here already and I just forgot that I went around the field a couple of times? Because that feels like what's going on here. I feel like I'm just driving through my crops for no reason right now. I don't see... Oh, there, it's spraying now. So I must have gone around twice, and I've just got a few little sections here that needed to be sprayed still. Okay. Well, in that case, I think everything else is looking pretty good. So I'm going to turn the sprayer off so I can go just a smidge faster. Oh, I'm going to turn the sprayer back on. Is this a section or is this just where... That's where the grass was that I got rid of. All right, well, we're driving over our crops for no good reason here. So we're going to cut into the corn here. And I'm going to just bring this back and follow this contour around here and start heading back in towards the other end. We are under 50% on our spray, and we did fill up right before we came over to this other field. So I know this top section is our largest field, so we will need a bit more spray to finish this field, but we do have a bit more up in the yard. So maybe what I'll do is once we get back down to the end here, I'll go top off the sprayer, and then we'll come back out here and see if we can finish this cornfield or not with the spray that we've got. So it looks like we just ran out of spray. We're on our final pass. We had this little sliver left to go here. I think we're gonna just call that a day though. I'm not gonna buy a full container of fertilizer just to get that little itty bitty bit. And so this is where I'm gonna stop the clock right here. And I'm gonna leave it up to suggestions in the comments. Do you guys think I should get more fertilizer and put more spray down as the season continues here? Or should we switch over and do some herbicide? I'm going to attempt so carefully to back this thing into this lean-to here, apparently unsuccessfully. And we're going to call it an episode here, I believe. And so I appreciate everyone who's watching. We are looking like we're going to hit 10,000 any moment here now. I've actually had it up on the other monitor, so I'm recording this on Tuesday, November 3rd, and we are closing in on 10,000 subscribers within, we're 5 subscribers away. So definitely appreciative to everybody who's been following along. If you're not a subscriber, because 80% of my viewers are not subscribers, think about hitting that subscribe button. Helps the channel out, and you'll be notified of new videos as they come out. And as always, thanks for watching. That's all for today. Keddirk.